So welcome back to this week's episode of Podiatry Marketing. With me is my co-host, partner in crime, top bloke all the way in Canada, but he is from America, Jim McDonald. How you doing today, Jim?
Tyson, thanks for that intro. I guess I'm no longer Big Jim, but super bloke is pretty, coming from you, that means a whole lot. So appreciate that. No, things are good here in Montreal. Just ready for an exciting conversation with you today about some technical and geeky, topics in the podiatry marketing world.
I know what the geeky topic is. Tell everyone what the geeky topic is, because this one, I think this one's going to be a bit of fun.
Yeah, we're going to have they think it's going to be this magic thing on their website. It's going to rake in the patients. And other people that have used these in the past just think that there's so many hangups people have with this. So today we're going to be talking about chatbots and those little things that pop up sometimes in the lower right-hand corner of a website or on your phone. And yeah, we'll be jumping into chatbots a bit today.
So chatbots is pretty much you're on someone's website and then pops up and it says, "Can I help you?"
Yeah, like, what can I do for you? Sometimes they show you like a human face that looks like someone's got a little headset on and a little microphone. So you feel like it's a real person. Yeah, it's basically, there's different ways that chatbots can be used, right? Sometimes it's used as almost like a search function, right? Maybe there's some automated bot actions that say, where's your clinic located? Maybe there's certain questions that patients have or someone who's new to your website. It should really address the questions that they have. So sometimes it is some wanting to have some general information. It might be delivered by a bot. Hopefully during work hours, if people have those installed, we'll talk about the pros and the cons in a little bit, but hopefully there is, at least when I use a chatbot, I don't know about you, Tyson, but usually I've already searched Google. Usually I've done everything in my power to avoid using a chatbot. Yeah. So whenever I get to the point of using a chatbot, and it's always at 10 p.m. or even if it's generally want to talk to a human that I don't want to have to call, that to me is the most powerful use case for these chatbots. But I don't know how you feel about chatbots, and we'll get into more specifics in a little bit.
So you're talking chatbots as in fake ones?
Yeah. There are two types. There's the chat window, which is a staff member. That's one. Some of those,
and I like those ones. I find them really help, especially with something on a website, and then it pops up and says, "Oh, yeah, do you need a hand with anything?" And my first comment is, "Are you real?" So yeah, I'm Pam. I go, so I'll ask an obscure question. I go, "This will be obscure," whatever sort of popped into my head. And they know that I'm asking that question because if it's a chatbot, it will go, "Danger, danger, Will Robinson." And just gone, what did that have to do with anything? If you watch Lost in Space, the original, that will make sense. So yeah, I love chatbots popping up if it's a real person. If it's a fake one, I don't know. I feel dirty.
No, I totally understand. Like I said, I think I tried to find all the information I can that maybe would be automated in a chatbot through other channels, hours, kind of quick questions that sometimes can be okay. But by the time up to a chatbot, like you said, I want it to be like almost like a direct link to a human to have a conversation that I don't necessarily want to be on the phone for. But the problem becomes, like I said, you can't necessarily have someone on call 24/7, like for scheduling, for answering questions. You also have to be a little bit careful with chatbots as well, because you can't be providing like medical information. So it's not something or medical advice, so you can't, it's this fine line as well of HIPAA compliance. A lot of these chatbots will use a consumer facing one because a lot of be on a secure server, at least in the North America, or at least in the US. Yeah. It has to be a HIPAA compliant service. So that adds another layer of detail. And generally what you'll find is that the ones that are on like your high level e-commerce website that are super staffed 24/7, very few clinics are going to be able to support a real human to answer those questions. So that's one of the biggest cons, is that they're not going to work a perfect use case them to work.
Yeah, the best ones I've seen when they will actually, they indicate, between 8:30 and 5:30, this is a human. After hours, it's really basic, but it tells you up front that I am a chatbot. This is our after hours service. We can help you with basic information. And that I don't mind, but it's when you've got a chatbot and it's a really clever one. It almost feels like you're talking to a human. It's preset. So then I'll ask something really obscure.
It just feels nice to know. And some of the services that I've seen on other websites, I don't use them on the websites that I build currently, because I think, to be honest, there are, the majority of the time, the patient is probably wanting to know if you have an availability or wants to make an appointment, but but I think if you make a form, like the call to action for the form on the website, very easy to see and make it very simple, and give the person who's on your website, like complete understanding of what they're getting themselves into. So maybe you have a contact us or you have a schedule button. To me, that does it about 90% of the way. There's different levels of integration, probably some of these chatbots into different EMRs. So if you're somebody who has a pretty wide open schedule and you're happy to have scheduling happen directly through the chatbot, maybe that could be one benefit of having that done. But like you said, it can be a little testy. Like usually I'm just out of there pretty quick. I'm not usually utilizing it probably when it's straight up automated or it's a little, you're uncertain.
So what is it that puts you off? Is there a certain question or is there something that the chatbot does that takes the crap out of you?
To utilize in some of these chatbots, to be honest, where to get the kind of answers you would want directly. And I think for some reason, if I search something on Google, I get much more accurate information faster.
Yeah.
Because it's always this like, you type in your question or you type in what you want to get from the chatbot and it's like fake thinking for 5 or 10 seconds and it spits out a choose your own adventure game. It's, oh, you said this. Do you want these 3 things? And it's like 5% of the time, it's one of those 3 options they presented to me.
Yeah.
So it just feels like a waste of time, especially when you know the alternative is potentially a human who could, it feels better to wait for a human to find an answer as opposed to like be sent 7 links or 7 steps down a path where you probably know you're not even going to get the right answer or real answer.
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of business. If it's like say an airline, for example, if I've got a problem, I want to talk to a human. If I'm just trying to gather some more information, sometimes the chatbots work well because it'll go, was that helpful? And you go, no. So it'll go, what about these? And you go, oh, you click on one of them. Was that helpful? Yes. Then it'll say, do you want more information? So sometimes it works well, but I think it's the thought that goes behind the questions or the searches that are actually happening.
I think that's an important component. I think another important component too is that usually these are like an add-on service to a product or a portfolio of marketing products. They have their email marketing, they have their, web services, they have their chat bot, or they have their website platform. The ones I've seen that are best are these consumer-facing e-commerce or tech-based ones, tech websites.
Yeah.
Not necessarily medical or clinic-based ones. At some point, those will get more mature with the HIPAA compliance and that kind of stuff. But what I find is it's something they will add on till it's like the 5th, thing you have to have installed on your website. And when it's not a standalone service, it doesn't have the same type of development or the kind of like the ins and outs or those little details like you're talking about, right? Letting you know that it's automated and these are the hours when a human is here. Those little small touches, while it might feel small, they make a world of difference as far as like whether you actually want to use that thing or not.
Have you seen any good examples on any podiatry websites?
I don't know. As a marketer, I'm on all these different marketing websites and technology platform websites. And like I said, even their automated ones are better than the ones I've seen on podiatry or clinic websites. I will say that I am almost 45 years old, so maybe I'm not the target demographic for this. That could be it as well. I think younger people may just find that to be totally fine and they're used to it and that they'd rather not talk to a human at all, whether it be in text or over the phone. So it could be an age thing as well. So I need to know what my blind spots are as well and my own personal preferences, right?
Well, I think you're spot on there because my daughter, for example, she's 18 this year, and a chatbot popping up and her talking to it, probably doesn't really care whether it's a human or not. In fact, she'd probably prefer it not to be a human. Whereas our age group, we have grown up where, the greatest technology was a telephone. And I remember as a kid not having a phone. And then when we first got a phone, and then when mobile phones came out, and so we're so used to interacting and talking with people, whereas I can see younger people don't need that interaction, that human contact as much.
I think it's an interesting thing. I think product line or these chatbots will mature over time and get more intuitive. There's all kinds of technology in the kind of AI and like machine learning space that's helping to process things better and building up bigger databases to make sure that the types of conversation having with these automated bots is a little bit more relevant. Obviously, when they're super early, they weren't as good as they are now. So they'll continue to progress and get better. I guess it's just one of those things right now where I think until that progresses though, there's like a clear, it's not something that people are going to say, like, being your click and be, hey, like, when are you going to add a chatbot to your website? Like, I would love to make my appointment via chatbot. So it might require a little bit of implementation, right? Some of these different bots have a free plan or something you can test out for a few months. And if it does something for your clinic, fantastic. For 90% of people out there right now, like I said, more like a contact us page or an appointment now button that's very clear on the homepage and on multiple pages on your website. It's probably sufficient, but it is definitely an interesting product and an interesting technology to keep an eye on as things move on down the road and these improvements happen.
I had a patient that had a chatbot company that had approached me just before I sold my business. And so I never really got a chance to actually test it out to see what it was like. But yeah, I think with all technology, there's always going to be pros, cons. That if it saves you time, great, but is it repelling people at the same time? Would they rather just talk to somebody? I think as long as you give people alternate options on how they can actually communicate with you, whether it's phone, online bookings, whether it's they can drop in face to face if they wanted to, or using a chatbot, there's different ways of actually communicating.
And I think you bring up a good point there. The technology is evolving, and maybe you are a pretty forward-thinking podiatrist. Obviously, you're listening to Podiatry Marketing podcast, so that means you're a little.
Oh yeah, of course. If you're listening to this, you're switched on.
But at the same time, these different companies are probably curious to make a product that does connect, because if they have something that is a superior product on the market, it's definitely something that they will be able to sell to other people. So if you're someone that is tech savvy, wants to be on that cutting edge, finding these platforms that are offered it maybe to dentists, to other healthcare providers that haven't come into podiatry yet, it's a way to potentially partner with them, help them create the product. Maybe you're a consultant with them. There's all kinds of different opportunities to really try to improve this space. So I don't want to be like dead downer and say that it's not going to work for anybody. Because and also I'd like to hear from the folks who listen to the show. Do you use chatbots on your website? And is it a human? Is it a mix of AI and human? Can people schedule from it? We'd definitely be open to hearing from folks just to get a general sense of how they utilize those on their own websites to make sure that Tyson and I aren't up here on the mountain shouting down at the people saying that chatbots are bad, but happy to hear someone that's in the clinic utilizing them and letting us know what we've got right or wrong about the use of chatbots in podiatry clinics.
Yeah, and also just want to point out that we don't believe that all Debbies are downers. So if there are any Debbies listening to this, we know there's some positive ones out there. So we'd look at your feedback as well.
That's a good point.
Hey, do you have there where they talk about someone, don't be a Karen?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, and if somebody posted something and her name is Karen, and she was like the most upbeat Karen you'd want to meet. And she goes, I'm standing up for all the Karens who are being put down. And then somebody said, oh, what about Dopey Dora? And they went all these, and Debbie Downer came into it as well. Sorry, totally sidetracked. So have you got anything else to add before we finish up on this one?
No, I think it's one of these areas like I said, I'm definitely open to hearing from our listeners' thoughts about chatbots, but no, just thought it was an interesting topic to bring up today and just have a little conversation with you on the topic. So hopefully get some feedback from those listeners. So no, that's it for today. And thanks for the chat today, Tyson.
No, it's awesome. Always love talking with you, Jim. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Sounds great. Bye now.